I'm Marcy Lundy. Today is Tuesday, November 7th, 2023, and this is the Cult of Kindness podcast. For the month of November, I'm very excited to have the book of the month, Rebels of Kindness, How Loving Care Transforms Self, Others, and Planet. And please welcome the author, one of the authors of Rebels of Kindness, Erin Ableman. Hi, Erin.
Peace and blessings, everyone. Greetings.
Yay. I always feel so happy when I have kindred spirits on. I just always feel that connection and the warmth of people who enjoy doing the work of kindness.
Hmm. It's a North Star in the midst of, or a compass in the midst of everything that's going on in our world.
Yeah, yes. Erin, if you could tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, I am first and foremost a kind human, proud parent of a 6-year-old, soon to be 7-year-old. My
Oh,
daughter Chaya is the light of my life and continues to put kindness to the test. Um, you know, I believe that it ripples out from within our households.
yeah.
And so she's been my master teacher in that way.
Oh,
Um, but I'm also a United Nations award-winning artist, author, actor, producer, to use a overused term, a multi-hyphenate. I'm really I never really fit into any box. Um, my passion is and my concern is in leaving the world a better place than my generation came into it. So I've been fortunate to have dedicated my life to social and environmental issues,
mhm.
and have had a deep spiritual grounding in my life. I'd say that my spirituality is a keystone of how I see the world.
Okay.
And I've had yeah, kind of a bizarre upbringing. So I'm excited to dive in, but that's a little quick intro.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, you say a bizarre upbringing, but sometimes that is like your first test. It's like, okay, you're here for a reason, and let's see. I think that you're the one who can carry this out well. So, so
Well
even though it's
said.
bizarre, it's like you're the one who can do it.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, that's one of my teachers used to say that what is it, that a bad day for the ego is a good day for the soul, and that
Mm.
um, there's something about the tests that come in our lives that actually propel us further um, further into greatness and further into service, and um, yeah, I've seen that pattern play out at challenging points in my life. I was raised as the son of a farmer and author, um, who also was a deep activist in his own right. And to my mom, really the heart and soul uh, in my life. She is a humanitarian public health care nurse, and so between my my parents' deep conviction and, I would say, just their lifelong uh, activism, I was raised in a very interesting household where we had very high ideals and great ambitions and a great kind of moral center, and yet,
Right.
to live up to those things inside of a society and a system that often is at direct odds with
Mm.
with care, with compassion, with love. My
Yeah.
mother had a pillow that said God is love on one side, and on the other it said love is God, and that was really
Mm.
like what I slept on. And
Yeah.
so my upbringing was, um, I think very in some ways very challenging in how to harmonize and marry what I saw in Hollywood media. And you know, I was actually born in Michael Douglas's basement. The actor, they were working for him. My parents were
Oh.
working for him as the head gardener, landscaper. My father, and then my mother was the chef, the cook. And
Okay.
so, but they had always vowed to have a home birth, and that's where I was. And
Wow.
so I saw the affluence and had relationships with all the kids of Hollywood, and yet my parents didn't often have much money, and they were very much committed to the land and to food systems. And when I was a year old, we moved to a small farm that, long story short, actually made a big difference in shifting agriculture in this country and around the world.
Mhm.
It became a big news story because we had to fight to save the land. But
Oh,
it was an
wow.
organic farm that was serving 500 families a week with healthy, nutritious fruits and vegetables and education programs. And so I was raised in this very dynamic environment with
Right.
community thriving. And yet, you know, anytime I would step, because I was just going down the block, the farm
Mhm.
ended up becoming an urban farm. At the time, it was
Oh,
uh
wow.
yeah, it was all farmland when I was till I was about 7 or 8, and the whole
Mhm.
neighborhood got bulldozed, and it was like 7 fast food restaurants in a 2 mile
Oh,
distance just dropped
no.
in. And then, you know, the housing tracks and the smart bomb factory across the street. It was just this really conflict of, I think a core conflict that I've struggled with in my life is how to, how to exist in a world that seems to be, I'm not going to say lost, or you can't speak for, but there's parts of this system that are really hard to navigate. So yeah, that was my upbringing, was very, you know, very much meandering between, I guess, just modern America and this very wholesome, um, powerful, love-centered home with the
Mhm.
farm and the natural world really as my primary teachers. And so I'm glad that I did have that experience, because it's allowed me to, um, hopefully be a bridge builder.
Sure.
I'm also Jewish, and that carries with it extraordinary complexity, obviously with what's going on in the Middle East right now.
Yes.
But for me, I guess, yeah, it was a lot about not necessarily identifying with any one identity or one
Right.
tribe or one. I was always felt like I was between different worlds, and sometimes that was a blessing and other times that was a curse. But
Sure.
um I guess that's all I know at this point, and hopefully that can help bring harmony in the world at this time.
Right. Yes, when I was reading about you, that was one of the things that was very endearing. I feel like I've had a similar experience, and it it is a privilege, but also hard because you have a point of view that doesn't necessarily relate to those that identify the same as you. And yeah, and then you're like, well, how can I help? I don't want to look disconnected, but I want to help.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so true. So and it's so powerful to, you know, to have these tools of
Mhm.
compassion and empathy, and first and foremost to have a regular meditation practice, let's say, or to have a practice that says, how can I serve, or how can I volunteer, or what are the ways in which I can, um, step outside of I guess my own perspective, although as you're
Right.
saying, that's kind of in some ways come natural for us. But
Mhm.
where I see there being the possibility for for this to be almost like a kryptonite in a way. It's all, it can be a great asset if we
Yeah,
use it and if we work on ourselves and continue to show up for our communities in whatever ways
exactly.
we can.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's so funny. I don't know if you felt like this. It sounds like you were more aware. Coming up, I just enjoyed the life I had. And it was when I got older and got into the world, then I was like, oh, my experience is not aligned with some people's. And I didn't know what to do with that, you know? And it was like, well, if nothing else, I've always felt kind. And
Mm.
like you said, then you turn and make that your superpower.
That's beautiful, that kindness emerged out of that confusion, because it is, there's a natural struggle and a tension in how to how to be present for the suffering that is part of this world. We all suffer in relative ways. We
Right.
are all going through battles that really none of us know about.
Right.
And kindness to me is that it is that extraordinary instrument for playing a song of empathy, or playing a song of connection, or bringing out a shared moment
Yes.
that it's like, oh wow, it's almost that sometimes we do have to reach across the chasm to
Yeah.
connect,
Yeah.
because of how vastly different our experiences are, and yet how extraordinarily the same. It's this complexity of how we've been divided. Each
Yeah.
of our you know ancestors have gone through so much, faced various trials and tribulations.
Hmm.
Some of them are the same, others are completely different.
Yes.
um, and so for me, kindness really is just a way in which we say, I don't know what you've been through, but I'm here and I want to listen and I want to be caring and I want love to be in the center of this.
Yes.
And I'm not sure how we figure this thing out. I think what did Prince say? We're just trying to figure out how to get through this thing called life,
Right.
But like, how can we do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how can we do that in a way that's not just um, perpetuating the war economy, or the
Oh, yeah.
wars and rumors of wars, because
Yeah.
we all know where that's going to lead us. And
Exactly.
I feel this is my perspective, that I feel the mass of even though I do feel like a spiritual minority often when
Hmm.
I'm talking about
Hmm.
these things in this way.
Right.
Um, but I do think that the masses of people want peace. I really think that we just want to live our lives and coexist, and we're not really trying to, you know, inflict harm on others. I mean, we
Yes.
might sometimes not know that we don't know what we don't know. So
Right.
I also have compassion for those folks, but I think
Exactly.
in
Yeah.
general, like we want to live in peace and in kindness, wouldn't you say?
I agree. I agree. I'm not quite sure how we got so far off track, because I think back 20 years ago and I feel like we were pretty harmonious. There's always problems,
Mhm.
but when I think back to things 20 years ago, I'm like, geez, I don't remember it being like such a mess. It just feels like such a mess right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just writing about that this morning, that that the world does feel just almost irreparably broken in
Right.
terms of how, any one of any issue that you were to look at, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Um it's almost as though we've built and incentivized an entire economy that actually propels us into brokenness. And
Mm.
so that there's this kind of systemic incentive to, oh well, let's keep fighting, let's keep breaking stuff.
Yeah.
Let's manufacture things to break apart, within
Mm.
6 weeks. I got in my household, I had to tell my in-laws and all the grandparents. I had to say,
Yeah.
can you, I mean, okay, if you want to get your granddaughter something that she's about to turn 7. I said,
Hmm.
please don't send another trinket, another plastic thing. Just
Right.
don't
Right.
get her a guitar lesson, or
Mm.
get her something that would invest in her mind,
Yes.
and as opposed to just another toy, right? Because
Yeah.
toys just like their lifespan is like meant to break in 2 months.
That's true. Yeah.
So anyway, that was just a random example of kind of like a
That's a
physical example of how I feel like the system is just I'm struggling with it, how to live in this society in a way that, in raising kids,
Mm.
that is aligned with my values.
I get it. I get it. I oh gosh, I really relate to what you're saying because in 2020 I started the podcast because we were in such hard times, and it was like I even current day I still can't completely wrap my mind around how hard that was and how many people we lost. And I'm just always looking for the bright side, and that's how Cult of Kindness was born. It's a way to just look at the bright side. I know I'm not alone in wanting the world to be better and nicer to one another. And that's why, I think it's so beautiful you wrote this book. It's just wonderful.
Well, my hat's off to you too for creating this space where we can actually step into the antidote to all of that, right? And
Right.
and start to reimagine and reaffirm and actually um, connect together around another world,
Yeah.
because we know that it's possible. I mean, there's no other option actually at this point. We don't really have the privilege to give up, you know
Right. Yeah.
especially as parents. But I feel just as a human that one of our main responsibilities is just is to really care for life. you
Yes.
know I mean,
Yes.
it's in all of the core wisdom in all faiths. I'm not talking about like religions. I'm talking
Yeah.
about like the spirit and essence of what wisdom traditions have shared in all peoples, is that
Hmm.
we care for life, and that we are and the active ingredient in that care to me is kindness. It really
It
is. it's
is.
it's loving kindness.
Yes.
I mean, that is absolutely non-negotiable. It's how there's nobody that would even survive 2 days on
Isn't
this
that the
earth
truth?
without it. We wouldn't
So
even,
true.
it's like, so it's so simple, and it's so powerful what you're doing in creating these conversations, because um, as much as we need to radically transform our systems of politics and economics and all of the ways in which these systems are playing out, we also just need to be able to talk together,
Yes.
and and come together by whatever means necessary. So yeah, I really love Cult of Kindness, and I think that um yeah, Rebels of Kindness is also in that Cult of Kindness. Like, we're actually stepping into the new world
Yes.
and not waiting for anybody to say, oh, well, you can't be kind, or you can't have hope, or you know like get like just or yeah, this is such a powerful moment in human history.
Yeah.
And the more of us that can be encouraging of this wave, this direction, I think that we will we'll see at least a rebalancing of
Yes.
the path of destruction toward one of care.
Exactly. I I love to call it the positive domino effect, where
Mm,
we're all just on a path of positive, and we're gonna follow.
I'm so with you on that. I got my
Yes.
for those of you that can't see me, I got my fist up. And I'm putting up a heart here actually with my hands.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love it. Well, Erin, one of the things I wrote down was your dedication. I thought it was so special for the book Rebels of Kindness. And it says, this book goes out to all kind humans rising above the pessimism of society, those who are dedicated to finding common ground with folks who are different, turning losses to lessons, and transforming hate into motivation for loving even louder. I love that. Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Yeah, this project is really it's been such a blessing in my life. And I always say that writing books, this is my fourth book, I think. Writing books is always kind of a benevolent form of masochism where it's like you go in and you have to really put your heart and soul and your blood, sweat, tears into creating a form of communication that hopefully resonates. And I know that there's probably a lot in here that is not going to reach everyone.
Right.
But the fact that I've been able to bring this into high schools, into
Oh, yeah.
libraries, into even, middle schoolers,
Mhm.
into parent groups, into Rotary clubs, all sorts of, it's amazing when people have an excuse to talk about kindness,
Yes.
and to talk about that part of themselves that I think that dedication really is, because I think we all have that in us.
Right.
Even the ones, I've done stuff in San Quentin here in the Bay Area, California.
Mhm.
I've gone into the prison and worked with um, you know, some of the folks in there, and I have seen, folks on death row with more wisdom and love
Mhm.
and brilliance and genius
Yeah,
than anybody on the outside. And
I
so
get it.
for me,
Mhm.
it's like there's nobody that is too late. It's never too late for
Yes.
anybody to discover what kindness means to you, um, and how to
Mhm.
express it, I guess, is
Yeah.
really, so sometimes at the end of I was just actually down in San Diego, performing at I did these school assemblies,
Okay.
and it's musical storytelling. I'm also an artist,
Okay.
rapper, singer, producer.
Yeah. Very
Um,
good.
but it's a great way to deliver the messages through the music,
Hmm.
adapting some of the poems in the book and some of the practices to the stage. And at the end, they're all coming up, wanting to do selfies and things.
Yeah.
And then they're asking, can I have a book, or can I have a hat? We have these great hats that are made by kind humans,
Oh,
and
yeah.
stickers. And I said, well, you can have a hat, you can have a sticker, but what's your commitment to kindness? And so they'll
Oh,
actually
yes.
have to name that, and they'll
Yes.
talk about it with their friends in witness. And so one of them is starting a self-love club at her
Oh,
school.
yes.
Another one is just like creating a little mindfulness corner.
Mm.
Another one is like going to volunteer um, at the local food bank once a week.
Wow.
Like so
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, you never know where these things actually go and how they ripple out, but
Yeah,
it
that's
it
so
feels really
beautiful.
positive. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kindness at work. That is amazing. Oh my goodness. I was thinking about you were saying that the individuals on death row, how kind and aware and wise they were. And it got me to thinking about you have to take the time to think about it. They unfortunately have a lot of time. And I say unfortunately, but it's also fortunate because we have to give ourselves the time to think about, okay, who am I? Who do I want to be in this world? And how do I want to make a difference? And some people just get so caught up in the busy of life that, you know, I I mean, I've seen people who I know are nice people, but if they're overwhelmed by their schedule, they fall short of just the little things, just being
Mm,
nice. You really
mm.
need to have time on your side and make time to get to these moments where you make the decision, okay, this is how I want to show up in the world as a kind person.
Powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, I think that's a great reminder. Um, I have an alarm that goes off on my phone just once an hour to stop
Mhm.
for 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. I know it sounds like a lot, and sometimes I'm not able to do it, and other times I'm just methodical and I can do the whole day.
Mhm.
But I'll just stop and I'll just breathe. And what that does is it just allows me to, and it's not even that there's a technique involved with
Sure.
the breathing. It's just slowing down. Oh, right. Wow. I felt like I just ran, like I didn't really communicate well with my partner this morning. Maybe I'm just
Mm.
gonna call her, you know. So it
Yeah.
gives that moment to slow down, like you're saying, because some people are just so caffeinated right now, and so
Yes.
um and just like the social media craze that we are completely, it's almost like our hands have grown an extension with these phones,
It's
you
so
know.
true. I
And
know.
so I think it's important just sometimes, you know, if you have the privilege and the moment and the ability to do it, just
Yes.
hit pause on your phone for 2 minutes an hour. Just even
I
taking one
love
minute just to
that.
stare at the sky,
Yes.
or just to stare at a wall.
Yes.
That'll confuse your brain. Like, why am I staring at the wall? You know? Oh,
Calming down
right.
though.
Because yeah, but I don't know, whatever your thing is. And some people might be going to do some exercise or do some jumping jacks, or I don't know what it is. But yeah, that's a lot of like the practical wisdom in Rebels of Kindness, this book.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, yeah, we feature 40 kind heroes, as we're calling them, around the
Yes.
world. Voices that are, I guess, in a way, leading us. They're my inspiration in so many ways
Sure.
to how to move this, move this world toward a better direction. As Martin Luther King said, that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends
Mm.
toward justice. I think it also can bend toward kindness if we're able to. Again, it's a choice and a willingness to do the work.
Exactly. Well, first, I'm going to do what you just said. I'm going to add that to my phone where each hour I have time. I'm telling you now, I'm taking that.
That's awesome.
I love that.
Even a minute, I'm telling you, even
Yes,
just a minute, it sounds ridiculous, but it's
it
it's
helps.
deep. Like it just disrupts some of the ways in which, you know, yeah, anyway. So that's awesome. I'm excited that there can be some hopefully some invitations from this podcast with us together where people can take this wisdom into their lives.
Oh, absolutely. I love the format and how you wrote the book. Could you explain to me in the audience how you came to choose first the 40 individuals and how you thought to do it this way?
Yeah, well, that was probably the hardest part in some
Yeah,
ways, was choosing who to profile.
yeah,
Um, because ultimately, I mean, my dream in a way is to extend this to a series and ultimately to build a library of kindness instead of a library of Congress, where
yes,
we're actually like lifting up stories and archetypes and poetry and proverbs and science and all the ways in which this book has approached this movement of kindness that we see. um, but that it could basically be the start of many infinite stories of kindness out there. So like you said, we did profile these 40 in the first book.
mhm.
Maybe there will be more. uh, But what we've done is we've combined these real life profiles, these real life tales of
Okay.
leaders in three main categories: kindness to self, so mental health, wellness, spirituality, things of that nature; kindness to others, community organizing, comedy, innovation, culture,
Sure.
things of that nature; and then kindness to planet, which is pretty self-explanatory in terms of environmental work, or
Right.
um, even businesses, or philanthropists that have done extraordinary things in those
Yeah.
spaces. But yeah, it's really, and then those profiles are followed by a simple challenge or a practice in which you can take the inspiration from those stories into your own
Mhm.
life.
Mm.
And then we have science and poetry and parables that
Okay.
thread between all of that. So yeah, it's a interesting format. What I like is that a lot of people don't have time to read, so you could just open to any page and find
Right.
something. It's not, that you have to read the whole book
Sure.
in some order. It's definitely you know a nice bathroom flipper, if that's something of that nature. It's like you could just open any page and hopefully get something that's inspirational, and there's some comedy in there too, so we tried to keep
Yeah.
it interesting.
Yeah, it's wonderfully done. Wonderful job. And I would love it if you would share two of your favorite poems. That would be
Oh yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's yeah, we gotta whet people's appetite a little bit.
Yes.
um okay, do we want something more serious, or yeah, what, I got a couple pieces here. I
Okay.
prepared a couple of things that I was
Okay.
wondering if this would come up. Okay, perfect. So this one is called Giving is Receiving.
Okay.
We spaceship through the stars, beaming with pride, as if money buys us meaning. But what if giving was our receiving? What
Mm.
if acquiring was actually just feeling? All needs met. The race to be alive is no competing, living in the energy of already having. We're bees, we die when we're grasping or stinging. We live best when we're offering, not needing. The irony is, it's all inside out, like a heart bleeding to love, to be kind, to forgive everything. Why
Mm.
seek answers outside ourselves, screaming at a phone when our thoughts are what needs cleaning? Like
Ooh.
IPOing Amazon, wheeling and dealing, yet almost lost the real thing,
Mm.
believing in fake paper more than tree leaf screening,
Mm.
valuing computers more than fresh apples, eating, fast fooding while our bellies are slowing and screaming,
Mm.
inflamed by the flames of maldigesting. Who cares how many brands are winning versus how many indigenous bands are cultivating habitat and wisdom for the next 7 generations singing? It's
Mm.
the difference between thinking of a bank account versus a riverbank account. Cha-ching,
Ooh.
our path through the stars needs a new bottom lining.
Ah. Erin, hello. That was incredible. Oh my
Thank you.
goodness.
Thank you. Yeah, that was page 157. Um,
Oh.
yeah, definitely. That was in the kindness to planet section.
Oh.
Um, it's really powerful to have a space. I love writing poetry, um, just personally as a way to metabolize all that's coming at me and to hopefully give back something in reflection.
Sure.
So it's really powerful to have this focus around kindness, and just seeing how some of these words resonate. Okay, I got one
Amazing.
more for you though, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
Do one more. Okay, let's
Yeah,
see.
she took me to church. I was
Oh, that's so great. That is so
Yes.
great.
Yes.
Okay. All right, this one's pretty deep. Let's
Okay.
see if we're hopefully we'll get through this one. Moral courage. Sweet Jesus, sweet Idris, when did the world invent sin? Was it the loss of village life and a course correction? It seems like life has become a giant confession, from scandal to cancel to yesterday's sexting. Now everything is canceled because mistakes are so wretched, like being you with enough guilt to last 13 moon metrics. A criminal record doesn't compare to the Akashic records. Thankfully, when we lose, we never lose the lesson. From Poland's old ghettos, forgiven but not forgetting, with only 10% of an entire people surviving. Try turning pain into blessings. A Holocaust arrested turned to Hollywood repping, but only when moral courage stays and stayed centered. Two wolves inside us all. It's which one is fed more or lessened. Do we choose judgment or acceptance? Since history is a story of what's unwritten, where is the invisible pen for this peaceful conscription? These are the battles of violence versus communication, duels between enemy and self-liberation, trash versus compost, damnation versus absolution.
Ooh, Aaron. Yes.
That
Oh
was
my gosh.
page 97.
Yes.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I'm so grateful to be able to share those with
Oh,
y'all.
you have a talent. And I mean, it's real. Like it's not just words. That is real. Beautiful.
It's a lot of study, a lot of travel, and a lot of hardship, you know, having faced a lot of different struggles. We all do. But again, it's how do we convert our struggle, our suffering into an offering, into a growth, into, you know, a blessing, really. I guess that's, you know, those that I see, that I look up to,
Yes.
and what I hope that I'm channeling in my life is the
Yes.
ability to you know, to convert my pain and my suffering into gifts, you know.
Yes. Yes. And if we all think like that, we'll be on such a great track. And that's all we have. And that is a huge superpower to have. We just all have to realize that.
That's my hope and prayer for all of us. It's true. And definitely for young people to have that message that, you know, no matter what you're going through, you have an extraordinary power in you that is, it's more powerful than you even know. It's so incredibly powerful to have a struggle, because ultimately that means that you have something to teach. You have a gift exactly in the place where the problem is. I
That's
don't know who designed it that way, but I
yeah.
probably, if I was, I'm like, okay, you know, but that seems to be how part of the universe works.
That is so true. Oh, Aaron, you're such a joy and a gift to all of us. If you could please tell the Cult of Kindness audience where they can find Rebels of Kindness, as that is our book of the month for November.
Yeah, well, you could get it on kindhumans.com. You can also get it on Barnes and Noble and Amazon. But we encourage folks to check out kindhumans.com. It's an extraordinary eco-friendly marketplace, and really just the mission of this organization is to, you know, to be a lighthouse for kindness, to help propel kindness into pop culture. Imagine if we could inoculate culture with kindness and love, and that was just as popular as the clickbait on the other side, you know. That,
Right?
I mean, I know that humans are capable of great things. So check out kindhumans.com and get the book today. You can also check out aaronableman.com. The book is available there, and I have more of my work that is it's waiting for you, and I look forward to connecting and seeing how we can collaborate and help each other.
Yes. I'll add the links to the YouTube audio and video version, as well as the traditional audio. Aaron, you are a gift, and thank you so much for doing the kindness work. We need you to help us move forward and get to this point of the positive domino effect for everyone. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Marcy. It's a real honor to be here with the Cult of Kindness, and yeah, looking forward to more and many great things in the future. Better days.
Wonderful. All right, everyone. Again, our book of the month is Rebels of Kindness by Aaron Ableman. Aaron, thank you so very much.
Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings. Bye-bye.